Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Creatives of Windsor Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Sherdown, and today I'm sitting down with local multimedia artist Daniel Bombardier, also known as Denial, and we're filming this in his studio.
It's Bombardier.
Did I say it wrong or no?
No, you didn't.
So this spot is sweet. I've obviously been here for your parties and stuff, but...
Yeah, we do the art parties, and we were doing them before COVID for about 5 years. And just raising money and awareness about the alley behind the studio, mostly just trying to seed downtown as like a spot for murals and public art and dialogue. And yeah, the parties would kind of raise money and we put that back into paying muralists and pay for paint and lifts, and yeah, just ended up painting the whole alley there.
Yeah,
a bunch of them downtown.
Yeah, those were so fun. Are you gonna start doing those again, you think?
I do want to. I don't know how feasible it is to do it on the main floor here, so I'm thinking about building a deck outside and just do them in the summer outdoor. So build up kind of like a fence around and put a deck so we don't wreck the roof.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're talking about doing that kind of next year-ish.
That'd be cool.
So, but yeah, I think they were really good for the city, and it was a good incubator for like conversations about creativity and collaboration. And you got a lot of young people in the same room with a lot of older people. And like, I think that those kind of conversations don't happen so much in our society in North America as they do in other parts of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, those were super fun. It was cool because, like, yeah, so many different people came together and all these artists got to show their work. And I wish we had more collaborative things going on all the time.
Yeah, unfortunately, COVID was kind of like the ungluing of all the culture in a lot of smaller cities. And just trying to, me and my friend Ryan Ayers, we brought back Free for All Walls, which I was doing as an ongoing project with the murals. We brought it back last year, and we brought in 65 artists from all over the world to paint murals, and we're trying to bring that culture of public art back and after the pandemic and stuff.
Yeah, and I've caught those all over the city now. Like
yeah,
every corner I see.
Yeah, we're at like 100, over 120 murals that we've had our hands in, not painted, but facilitated. So, I mean, the city could easily house or host another 500. I see enough spots for 500 more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that project, I went to the thing at Windsor Eats. Was that like the end of it, that event you had there?
We did a couple of night events. So we did one big one where it was like an art battle.
Yeah, that's
what we kind of got popular for at the Free for All Walls. And so we had 4 of the muralists, 2 from Denver and 2 from, where were the other 2? 1 from Detroit, 1 from South Carolina. And they battle against each other, like live drawing, and the audience picks the winner at the end.
When you've done murals all over the world, when you go to these cities, like, is that how you found the artist to bring here? Like, did you work with them in the places they live?
A lot of those trips, that's where I made friends with them, and like a lot of them I did murals in their city for next to nothing, Sometimes I'd have a paid gig there, or I'd have just do something free.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all people I just met through my travels that I brought here.
For the paint and everything for the Free for All Walls project, who pays for all the paint?
So me and Ryan, we raised all the money privately from sponsors for this last year. And like I said, the previous 9-10 years was Free for All Walls paying for the paint, but we could only do 1 or 2 a year. So this big one, we spent a lot, like the whole summer, raising money, and we raised about $125,000, and that covered the travel for the artists, the paint, the hotel, the scissor lifts or ladders or equipment they needed. Yeah, and it brought about $1.6 million of mural art to the city for next to nothing,
Yeah. No, that was sweet. And yeah, like I said, like everywhere you turn now, there's a new mural.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Instead of a beige wall, gray wall.
Yeah, dirty, grimy ghetto walls. So you do a lot of murals, but then you also make so many other crazy pieces. Like, how do you divvy up your time? Like, what do you focus on one thing more than the other?
Well, I mean, it depends. It kind of changes throughout the year, but also throughout time. You have to be able to like pivot to what's making money, what's popular, kind of trends and stuff. So there was a time where all I was doing was murals, only murals, and like I had no time to make art. And then all my collectors and people into my artwork were kind of like, "Why aren't you making new stuff?" And like, so you kind of have to shift over to that. And then I can kind of like refocus what I want to be working on.
Yeah.
Depending on the circumstance. And like COVID, for example, I hate to bring it up again, but like we were lucky to have a website in place that I could lean on because the traveling and murals kind of shut off during that time.
Yeah.
So it's nice. I think that a lot of artists, they don't like exercise all the skills that they may need to be able to do those kind of pivots and big shifts in like how they're making a living and what they're working on. But throughout the years, I've been lucky enough to meet some people that help me learn different skills that I put into my wheelhouse that I can then lean on, you know. And I think I was telling you just earlier that like I spent COVID, I chose that time to learn video editing and video stuff enough to where now I don't have to really pay too many people to do it. I can just be doing it in time, like at the same time as when I'm painting a mural or working in my studio. Yeah, so develop your skills in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, during COVID too, like I had to adapt a lot because a lot of the stuff I shot and did for business, like, I couldn't do.
Yeah,
and
everybody.
Photographers weren't really allowed to work, but you were allowed to work for commercial clients.
Okay.
And you were allowed to do real estate because real estate agents were always essential.
Yeah.
Which means I could always shoot real estate. So I just really got into that
Yeah.
and started like picking up clients there.
Sure.
And just, transitioned over.
Yeah, it's being flexible. You gotta be very flexible if you want to be an artist, and that helps.
Yeah, for sure. So when you do things like you did those big like waste bins,
Yeah,
steel bins, like how do you and where do you print the stuff to go on those things and find those things? And
like for a time I had those machines, like I had bought them to be able to make those, and when I first started making them, and I sold quite a few, and now I pretty much use them as props now. Like if I make them, we don't sell them too much, but I send the jobs out to my friend John Visler. He runs Visible Graphics, and he's been my friend for 20 years. And instead of me having to take care of this machine every day, now I just get him to do it for that specific item.
yeah.
We still have a basement full of different printers and machines and stuff. And so I've invested quite a bit back into being able to produce stuff in-house.
Yeah. When you do like things like the gun over there that you have up on the wall, how do you cut that? What machine do you use for that?
So that one's a laser cutter and a laser etcher. So you can etch depth into it, or you can cut out shapes with it. And it uses laser. Light amplification by simulated emission of radiation.
And do you have that machine here?
Yeah, there's those two machines right there. That's what those are.
Okay. So you learned how to use all those and like...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a lot of the automation that I use in my art is reflective of my city, like in the area. So like there was a lot of, when I was first starting to paint and learn graphic design and CNC and stuff, there was a lot of access to that automation in Windsor. And so I began outsourcing these different ideas to these machine shops and stuff to create them for me. And through doing that, me and my friends and my brother learned how to do all that stuff, and then invested in some of the machinery ourselves. And I just think it's cool to be able to say like that Windsor and Detroit in that regard are part of my art.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. When you do the pieces, so yeah, like the gun, or you have stuff on the other wall over there, like I'm assuming those were cut with the laser pointer, like the laser cutter too.
Yeah.
Do you paint on those physically, or do you like print and?
Yeah, they're all spray paint. Like if you see the designs, like the Tim Hortons one there, for example, it's all stencil, and then I've just hand painted over top of it. So
Okay.
it's kind of it's my own kind of recipe.
Yeah.
And it can always change. I'm always altering it. Like we just did a series called Discycled, and it's basically like these prints here. I saved a ton of them throughout the years that got dinged up or dirty. I ripped them all up and kind of reimagined them into new pieces. So like decycling.
Yeah.
So nothing goes to waste around here. We don't throw like the alley there where you throw the garbage. We don't use that very often. We try and reuse a lot.
Like the cans behind you, like the Pfizer and or what are those, pill bottles?
Those ones are
pop cans?
they're kind of like pop cans. It's just to say like how popular drugs are.
Did you paint on that too, or is that
That's a
wrap?
laser cut wood piece that I prep it, prime it, and then paint on top. So everything you see is paint.
Damn.
So the barrels are pretty much one of the only pieces that we sell that are just a vinyl print. Everything else, like these behind you, is all paint.
Wow. I did not know that those were paint. Even looking at them in person, like some things you can tell, but like the can, like because they're so clean, I thought that you had like designed, printed that, and like vinyl wrapped it or something.
Yeah, like that's our paint booth right there, and you can be surprised what you can accomplish with spray paint and just practicing your techniques and stuff and trial and error.
Do you have the printer that prints out the stencils?
Well, the same laser cutters there, they can cut paper. So I used to do it like hand cut it. I used to use tape or like use vinyl masking. So we use vinyl now, but there's a plotter here that we use for those ones. But then you can also use paper, which we cut with the laser cutter. So it's like a little beam of light that just burns real quick and hot.
Yeah, that's super cool. Where do you get the big sheets of paper for that from?
For those ones, I get them in Toronto. Like there's paper suppliers everywhere. And yeah. So big sheets of cardstock, or like I have a couple people that have different shops that save all their cardboard sheets for me. Like I have a window and door place that gives me like tons of sheets of paper, and that's pretty cool. Just harvest anything we can for free.
Yeah, I'm always looking for big pieces of cardboard for the backs of my picture frames.
Yeah.
Like if I do a really big one, I need like a TV box or something,
Yeah, there's a place, Grimco. They sell like the plastic Coroplast stuff.
Yeah.
They're really good. I think it's like $10 for like a 4x8 or something like that, 5x10.
Okay. That's cool. When did you start making art? Seriously, I guess.
Well, I quit my last job when I was 26, so about 21 years ago. And so mid-20s, but I was making art since I was like 17, 18, and started mostly graffiti, mostly vandalism and like just illegal stuff. But for like kind of started selling it and people being interested in it when I was going to Toronto and Vancouver. And like, you remember Angelo from Milk? He was a big supporter and did a bunch of shows there, and Tom from Fog. And just around then just kept going with it. And I kind of always had I quit my job, and then me and my brother opened a print shop, which is kind of in line with my art. It's very graphic and graphic oriented. And so I tried to just stick to doing stuff kind of in the neighborhood of art. And then it just kind of snowballed into, I don't need to do this printing stuff anymore. The art is taking over.
Yeah. Did you like how big of a part does being in Windsor play in your career? Like, why are you here? Because it seems like you're traveling so much for work and.
Well, my family. Like the first reason it would be my family. Like I like being around them. Like we're all pretty close, and that's a huge part. I guess second would be Detroit. The creativity and inspiration that I get from Detroit is just like never ending, to be able to watch that city and be a part of it throughout my life has been amazing. And I've met so many amazing people, and the music and like the art and talent in there is just super inspiring. And the thirdly would probably be like the economics, you know, like being able to fly out of Detroit pretty much anywhere. And I was able to buy this building. I was able to afford a house, like as an artist or an entrepreneur, you know, like that's really important. I couldn't do that in Toronto when I was there, or Vancouver when I lived there. And so here it was, I mean, not so much right now, but it was very accessible for me, which was important, like to be able to invest back in to Windsor, but also have the comforts of a home and a solid studio and not thinking about getting kicked out all the time.
Yeah. Are a lot of your clients based in Windsor? Or are they mostly just everywhere now?
I would say I make most of my money, like 90% of my 95 even outside of Windsor.
Okay.
So I try and do as much as I can here, but it's just, you got to be flexible, you know. And I've been lucky enough to have these relationships with different people around the world. So I would say like build those relationships and travel and try and meet people, and like it's there, but you got to kind of hunt for your people, you know?
Yeah. It seems like in certain cities, like there's always something big and kind of crazy going on.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I didn't really like working out of Toronto, because it was like I suffer a little bit from ADHD, and like the distractions that I felt there, like I couldn't really focus like I know that I can here. And that was one of the reasons why I came back here.
So you lived in Toronto and in Vancouver?
And Whistler, British Columbia. Yeah, I got stuck snowboarding there for like years. Went there for a visit, pretty much, just stayed. And yeah, I mean, the big city's great, but for me, it was distracting, super distracting.
Yeah, I've always like wanted to kind of move out west and kind of check it all out there, but I've been like, I have my business here and I don't have to have a job, and that's kind of just what's always kept me here.
Windsor is versatile, is like versatile like that. You don't need a job if you can keep all your bills and stuff down. And I mean, a lot of people use that as an excuse. I mean, if you actually use it in practicality, like it actually does work. Like you don't have to spend a lot of money here to have a really great life.
No.
And like I said, Detroit's right there. If I want anything to do with a big city vibe, it's there.
Yep. Yeah, you have like almost the same answers I have when people ask me, like, I can fly for cheap and I love traveling.
Yeah.
And like my business, I guess, which is a lot different from yours, is like all my clients are in Windsor because it's all service based.
Sure.
But it's really easy well, it's not easy, but it's easy to grow and run a business in the city that you're from.
Yeah.
Because you know everybody and
it's
everybody
a good support
knows you.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just your whole life is here and people come across you from that. And
yeah, I've definitely had my moments where I've like really wanted to leave and move, and it's just like at the moment right now, I'm not allowed in Detroit, but I'm trying to work that situation out. But yeah, Windsor's great, and I think it gets a bad rap. That's for sure. We're the Florida of Canada. I mean, maybe not Florida. We're the Miami of Canada. It's pretty mild here. We didn't even have a winter until today.
yeah, seriously. Yeah. Until today, March 22nd.
Yeah, it's super mild, and we're surrounded by water. If you're into water, anything with boats, it's just super cool. I like it, and I don't understand why people have shit on it. Maybe because it's a blue collar. But I mean, the blue collar, like middle class, it runs the country, runs the world kind of. And Windsor should take pride in that, and they should really take pride in their downtown.
Yeah. Well,
stop shitting on downtown.
Yeah, like downtown, it's so many people have, like you just said, like Angelo from Milk, and there was so many people doing stuff, and it feels like just more and more fall off. We need newer ones coming in.
Yeah, it needs some new blood, new momentum. And I mean, everybody asks me why I paint and do the things I do here is because we deserve it just as much as every other city, and we deserve to be proud of our downtown. We have one of the most beautiful waterfronts that I've ever seen in the world. Like let alone Canada. Like, it's beautiful down here, and I think more people need to put their money where their mouth is. And there are some people doing that, which is nice to see. And I mean, I'm trying to be one of them, you know, like investing in this mural festival and buying the building here and having events here, hopefully next year again.
Yeah. No, it's great when people bring stuff and do that stuff here. So in the States, where do you like more, Miami, New York, or LA for the big cities?
Out of those cities, I'd probably say that I'm the most New York, then LA, then Miami, like in that order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So have you've done a lot of work in New York then?
Not as much as I'd like, but enough to say I love it, you know? And probably the most work I've done is in Miami, like the least favorite of those three cities. But I have nothing bad to say about any of them. It's just I prefer New York. You know, it's closer to Detroit's vibe, and it's more of the DIY, just shut up and get it done. And I don't know, LA's a little bit too cozy. Miami's a little bit too pretentious. So I like New York because it wears its attitude and it's hard on its sleeve, you know?
Yeah. I get really inspired when I go to New York. I love shooting there and everything, but the stuff that I like to shoot, I like to shoot LA things more.
Okay.
But I like being in New York more, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I like LA's weather better than New York sometimes, but yeah, for sure. LA's beautiful.
Have you been out to like the crazy stuff in the desert out there, like Salvation Mountain or Bombay Beach?
I went to Slab City.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And like literally, me and my buddy, we were on this road trip, and we put on this podcast about someone getting abducted and murdered in Slab City. We were just trying to freak ourselves out even more, and it was wild. Like, we met a bunch of really nice people, but then as soon as the sun went down, they let you know, like, you're not from there, and like stop creeping around.
Yeah, like I was there. I dragged my wife out there on our honeymoon, and you know, obviously we went to like the main spot.
Is she still your wife?
Yes. And I was like, let's drive through like the Slab City, and there was like a little sign on like a tree fort. It was like hostel. Internet.
Yeah.
And I was
there's like little weird bars and like trailers and stuff. We saw a pet cemetery. Like, this weird stuff, man. Yeah. But it was cool. Like, it's a lot of like Burning Man type people. And they're just like, I mean, I'm happy that place exists, like, to just be off the grid. And like, I get it, not disagreeing with everything about society. And like, that's cool that there's a place where they can just be left alone, I guess.
Yeah. Have you been to Bombay Beach out there?
No.
I think you'd really like it. It's close to there.
Okay.
It was a really popular like resort beach town from like people from like LA and San Diego would drive out there because there's like kind of a lake in the middle of the desert.
Okay.
And in the 50s, it was like popular tourist area. And then I think the lake got polluted or something like that. And then the whole place is just kind of like
an evacuated city, or? Yeah,
it's like meth city.
Oh, wow.
But like all the old like drive-in movie theaters still there, and all the old cars are abandoned. And like,
it would look like the nuclear test site, Dreamland or whatever.
Yeah.
We found an abandoned water park between LA and Las Vegas. Like, in the middle of the desert, just desert water park. Somebody's great idea just failed, and it was covered in graffiti. It was beautiful. Yeah,
I want to check that out. I think I've seen a video clip of somebody skating, like skateboarding on the slide there.
Yeah, it might have been the same place, but I forget the name of it. It was a funny name. Anyways, it's about an hour into the drive between LA and Vegas.
Have you done a lot of work in Vegas? Have you done shows out there?
I did a show with a guy. What was the gallery? It was weird because the place was made out of shipping containers. So I did a couple projects with him out there, but Vegas wasn't really my style. I didn't care for it. Like, I'm not a casino person, and I'm not like a wild party nightclub person.
Yeah.
And this guy took me out for we went to go see. He had Kanye West tickets. That was cool, but I lost, like, my phone got stolen. Like, it was just a bad night. So I was like, I don't like it here.
Yeah, that's kind of like, that's not really my scene. But a couple years ago, me and my friends were living in a van in California for like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And it started to snow, and we were up in the mountains in Yosemite. And I was like, let's drive to fucking Vegas just for shits. And we got there, and we just kind of went crazy for like a day and a half, and then we just drove back.
Yeah, that's what everybody's doing there, is just going crazy. There's just a bunch of people going crazy.
Yeah, it
was an experience. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back.
It's cool to see.
Definitely.
When you did the MTV Times Square election live paint, that was live, right?
Yeah, that was for Total Request Live. So it was overlooking Times Square. So like the MTV studios was right there, and they built a replica of the Oval Office, and like me and 4 artists like painted like everything, painted the desk, painted the flag, everything. So it was. Did you have a question?
Yeah. No, I wanted to bring that up. Yeah, I was gonna ask like what you guys did there. So
it was like live vandalizing the set, which was the Oval Office, like an exact replica of it. And sadly, I had to use my stencil that I made for that. It was the WTF, like upside down MTV.
Yeah, I
did that for that event. If Trump won, and unfortunately, I saw adults crying that night for sure.
That was that was cool that that you guys got to do that. How did you get picked for that? Did you know the people that put it on, or?
So my friends in Detroit and I started 1X Run in Detroit about a little over 13 years ago. Well, it was in Royal Oak. It was a small like art publishing company, like limited edition, time released. Like you can only buy it for this amount of hours or whatever. We started out. I was run like 13 or something. We're on like run almost 2,000 now.
Jeez.
And so I started working with them, and so they are an art curating publishing company, and I'm simply an artist for them now. And so they got hired to curate the artists that they brought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So when we kind of talked about this before we started, but when you do things like that, like the Times Square thing, to cross the border, like do you need a artist visa to do that?
For that, like I didn't actually get paid to do the art. I got paid for my designs, which I did in Canada, technically.
Yeah.
And the painting I just did for fun and for free.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the designs got paid for legitimately in Canada.
Yes. Yeah, I've done weddings in Detroit too for Canadians.
Yeah.
Like
it's a gift, but you got to pay for me to go home or something.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of loopholes, but I don't like it's hard navigating all those loopholes and like keeping up with it. So I'd suggest like trying to get legit visas and paperwork and all that, because if Trump gets elected again, the border is going to get crazier again. So like the border is a reflection of like the White House and who's in it. And Trump is kind of insane with the border and with immigration. And I've had to navigate the immigration world to be able to do my art in the States for 20 years now. And it's cost me a lot of money, a lot of time, a couple of mistakes where like right now I'm not allowed there. But I should be able to get it sorted out in a month or so.
Yeah, it is a big nightmare. It'd be so nice if we could just work as freely as we could cross.
I think Mexico and America and Canada should just be one country. You get like Mexican people are so nice, amazing food, amazing places to vacation. Canada, we have our sense of humor, our politeness,
yeah,
our gravitas, our hard work nature, and then that all meets in the middle with America. And I think it would all balance itself out quite nicely.
Yeah,
like what would we call it? Like,
well, if you have a native status card, you're allowed to live, work, and go to all three. Whenever
you don't have to recognize the border.
Yeah,
I know. I mean. There is native blood in my family. We've just never, unfortunately, explored that option.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds lovely.
That'd be the golden ticket in terms of visas and citizenships across all three.
Yeah, I mean, I just learned about this one thing I can get, this expungement that I would need to be able to get my permanent resident card over there. And so, but it took me all these years of working with not so good lawyers to meet this lawyer who was just straight up with me and told me about this out that I could be paying for. And so that's what I'm kind of exploring right now. So I can legitimately just be over there. But I had not so good lawyers advising me wrong, and they just wanted me to keep paying them every year. So be careful with immigration lawyers. Get a good one.
Yeah.
If you are looking for that.
I've talked to one before about stuff, but I didn't get a bill, so that was nice.
Yeah. Well, once they start billing you, they don't want the billing to stop. So they're not going to tell you how to get rid of it. Like the only option I could find on my own was to marry an American to get out of my immigration situation. But luckily I don't have to do that. So, I mean, there's a lot of nice American people to marry, but.
Yeah. Even with the permanent residency card, do you have to live there, or can you still live here?
It's all got all these time limits and stuff. Like a friend of mine, he's a comedian from Hamilton. He lives in Los Angeles like full time.
Yep.
I think there's a time you have to go back for certain times, at least once every whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I've been meaning to pick Gavin's brain, Michael Booth, because he lived in LA for years.
Sure. Yeah.
And he does almost.
Yeah. I'm not the greatest person to pick their brain because I have a record and I have all kinds of criminal stuff that you got to mix into that mix. So it's not like your everyday case. But if you behaved yourself, then you're probably better off than I am. Yeah.
So like you've done work in Dubai, right? Was that a mural or a show, or both?
It was both. Like I've been there 3 times, and so I did a show there and a couple murals, and then the other 2 times I was just straight hired by companies to do stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a hard place for me to like reconcile being at, because like you kind of see real time slavery. Like I've never seen anything like that, and just not working on these job sites and stuff and not being allowed to talk to people because they're a different race, and it was really, really weird.
Damn.
Yeah. So the money was great, but it's like you got to sell a bit of yourself if you want to stay there and like exist. So, I mean, it wasn't really for me.
Yeah, I've heard it was weird, and I've never heard like that way before.
That was the last trip, and it was like, I don't know, that might be my last trip there because what I saw, and like it was, I didn't agree with it.
When you go to places like that, do they just let you into work? It's no problem, or is it?
Yeah, as long as there's like certain people hiring you, then you're okay.
Yeah, you're good to go. When you did the show with all the pill bottles that you did and the little machines with all the pills in them, how did you make those little pills?
The gumball machines?
Yeah.
Well, I had bought, I found a manufacturer, like supplier, that just like supplied me with all different colors that I wanted, like color combinations. And then I bought like old candy machines, ripped off all the old graphics, rebranded them, and then I just filled them with like they were empty pills.
Yeah.
So
just all colors. Like
just whatever.
Colors?
Yeah, like the face. I did a Facebook one. It was like this medicine about likes, and those ones I got blue and white ones. And
okay.
Yeah, so I ordered those from a supplier.
Was that show in Seattle? Is that where I saw that?
Yeah, that was in Seattle.
How did you get all your stuff out there for that?
That one I drove my van. So I import my artwork to 1X Run in Detroit. And so I have a shipping company here that I own that has like all the right documentation for my vehicles. And there's all these different codes you need and different licenses, I guess. So I import it to them. Then from them, they give it to me, back to me, kind of. And then I drove it to Seattle.
Damn.
So that was a beautiful drive.
Yeah, that must have been fun. A couple days though, right?
It was in February. I suggest doing it in the summer, like the Snoqualmie Pass. Bring chains, man. Like it was a slow ride. It was like I think 20 hours through that pass because I was slow. I had to go.
Yeah.
It was like there was a storm, and it was just like you needed chains on your tires, and I did not realize it was going to be that gnarly.
That was like the story I just told when me and my friends went to Vegas. We were in the mountains in Yosemite, and it was like a snowstorm's coming. You guys are either going to get stuck up here or you're going to need chains. And I was like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah. I had my van with that little bowler trailer, a 1976 bowler trailer.
You brought that up too?
This was a trip to California that I took from Denver to Vail, through that way, through the mountains. So through Vail to Las Vegas and then LA. That was another storm that I'm towing a trailer. That was scary.
When your van that you're currently driving, you wrapped it with all that.
It's not like a wrap. It's like partial graphics. Like it's just the van looks like a space shuttle to me. So I just finished it off as a space shuttle. Added a few little things. But the color, like how the colors, how it is, and the design, it looked like a space shuttle to me already.
Yeah.
So I needed the like kind of NASA logo, a couple little window things and portholes, and then like some warnings and stuff. And yeah, I drive around a space shuttle now.
To get like those logos and stuff, do you print that stuff in here yourself?
A lot of them I can make still with the machines I have, but then like I said, my friend John from Visible Graphics, he makes all that stuff. So
okay,
any artists that need any kind of weird creative stuff, him and his team are awesome.
Where are they? Where is that place?
They're in Oldcastle. They used to be on Walker, right near the Easty Row, but they just moved to Oldcastle into like a way bigger building. And a buddy of mine that I used to skateboard with, he's their like head graphic designer. Yeah. They're super creative and super affordable, and they love artists.
That's cool. Okay, sweet. Do you use it a lot of computer programs to do a lot of your work before you paint it in person?
Yeah, like when I started, I used to just be straight analog kind of drawing, and then whatever I drew is what I would paint. But like around when I was like 20, like started learning Photoshop and graphic design and stuff, me and my brother, and then really saw the potential to bridge like graphic design and graffiti and kind of like pop art. I started fusing all those things together and learning more and more computer programs and, like I said, CNC and cutting things out and automation to be able to make not just one, but make 50 of something. And so I started using more and more computers, and now I'm on right now I'm on iPad. Like I use Fresco. It's like you can draw right to vector. Okay. Which is like what these types of machines can use and read. It's like a mathematical, like when you draw a line, so you get math instead of just pixels. Okay. Yeah. So I've used computers in my art for most of my career.
When you paint big murals like the one that's like right when you're driving into downtown now, like with the pistons and all that stuff, do you use a lot of stencils on those murals?
For some of the smaller stuff, I will. I don't need to. And like, I always tell artists, like, do something because you can, but not because you need to. Like, if you're going to use a technology, like, don't lean on it like a crutch. Yeah. I would say, like, but if you know you can do it without it and it's just going to save you time, but like go through the process of actually learning how to do it without anything, because that's when you're traveling or when a problem comes up, there's no electricity, there's no ability to do that, you're not stuck, and you can still be forced back into your skill set of being able to paint it or create it. So like just some of the smaller stuff, more detailed stuff I want to bring into murals and public art. Sometimes it's just a lot quicker to do it with stencils. And so I do that. And for patterns, it's really good for getting everything mathematically perfect-ish. Yeah.
Like every time I look at your work, it's like it always seems so like perfect and clean. That's why I was surprised that you do a lot of the painting and stuff like that to get it that clean. But I guess just like years of practice and
it's just muscle memory and like over and over again, just practicing. And sometimes I'll if I'm short on time, I'll run some stencils and just speed up the process a little bit. But I do love the look of something hand done in murals more than stenciling, but I will use it.
Do you think a lot of the other bigger pop artists in the world that make stuff similar to yours use similar techniques that you do?
I think everybody has their own comfort levels, and like, I try not to worry about what other people do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you get, feel like that's when I personally get in trouble. And so I try and just kind of just keep my blinders on a bit when it comes to like looking at any artist's stuff, portfolios too much, or like what they're doing, because I don't want it to influence my trajectory and where I want myself to go. It's not to say that if I see something, I won't appreciate it or try and figure out how they've done it. But I think it's just all personal to each artist.
Yeah. So like, I know, like when I see your stuff, some like really famous people that I think of would be like Andy Warhol, I guess, did, I guess not exactly what you do, obviously, but in a similar way.
Well, very graphic work.
So he had like his factory, right?
Yeah.
And he would just mass produce a lot of his work.
Yeah. So he would have people mass produce it.
Yeah. So like, that's what I was going to ask. Like, he didn't paint everything that he did, right?
No, I've certainly not painted everything I've done. So throughout the years, I've had many people like help me. And so like that's also one of the fun things that I love about my process is that I don't have to do the entire thing. I usually do the first 1 or 2 or 3. And then I kind of find a recipe where I can like, if I want to make this many of like 100 of these, I could teach someone how to do these first 8 steps that are kind of sometimes mundane, sometimes it's repetitive. And then I can kind of finish the endings,
Yep.
And so I've been able to use that ability in my process to kind of be more prolific and like give out some of the work to other people.
Yeah.
And it's that in itself has been challenging, like having people to stay the course and like longevity, and like there's always people turning over and like people move on or people are inspired to do their own work, and there's nothing against any of that. It's just part of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I find like if somebody's helping you with art, they're probably an artist in their own way.
Oh yeah, of course.
They're just gonna learn some things, but then probably
I would hope whoever works with me learns something for sure.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's just it's a part of that, using that in my process. I've had to get used to is that do this for now with this person, but know that that's not going to be always. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Can we take a time on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh man, this is fun.
All right, back from a little break. So yeah, you just brought it up what you want to talk about. So
oh yeah, I mean, because your thing's local, and we're doing our Free for All Walls Mural Festival end of September. Me and Ryan Ayers. We're trying to we're coming up with different ways to kind of put the Creatives of Windsor into one room without having to do a full-on art show, part art, part party event. So we're kicking around an idea of a drink and draw, and we're gonna have that in a few weeks, and then we're gonna be starting to raise the money. Like we kind of already started that part, but we've scoped out a lot of the walls that we want, like our dream walls for Windsor. So we're shooting for about 25 walls this year, and so we need help finding some funding. We need help with volunteers who want to help with some of the logistics. Anybody with like Airbnb spaces that would want to host an artist and allow them to stay with you for a week to 10 days. And like I said, we're shooting for 25 artists this year. 65 was a little hard to manage last year. That's a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. And we did it though. But this year we want to personally be able to enjoy it a little bit more and interact with each artist a little bit more intimately. It was kind of rushed through last year and we didn't get to have as much fun. So we're going to shoot for 25, which is still a lot. And if we can get all the walls that we want, it's going to continue to transform Windsor's landscape and like leave a legacy of like artwork for people to engage with for free.
Yeah.
And so it's freeforallwalls.com or excuse me, Instagram is freeforallwalls. If anybody out there can link us up with other people or you yourself want to help support the festival, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, like when you work, do you put yourself on like certain hours that you have to be in here working, or how do you do that?
My schedule, no. I mean, I try. I've definitely worked with a schedule, and I did that for probably 10 years, where I would come in to around 4:35 in the morning, and I would draw until 10 in the morning. So it was 4 or 5 hours. And I just found that working before anybody got up, anything was bothering me, distracting me, was the best time I could design. So I would dedicate that to designing. And then I would work usually till 5, 6, and then kind of be home, like a normal kind of life. But that was the most prolific I ever was when I was on that schedule, but I was not very happy. So I've kind of now figured out a more loose schedule that's more conducive to my personality, my life that I want to have. Like, I like to go to the gym. I like to, like, if it's a nice day, it depends on the weather. Like,
Yeah.
it really is, it's nice now to be able to just like change it. And I still have deadlines. I still have clients and all that stuff. And I take it seriously, and I respect that. But I don't want too many deadlines, because then it takes away like the ability for me to live my life the way that I want to. So, but I put the time in, like, no matter what. If it's a double day, like if I work 16, 18 hours a day, then I don't have to work for a day or two, like, kind of thing. Yep. So it really depends on the weather and like what's around me, what I want to be doing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I wanted to go back to your pieces that you laser cut for a second.
Sure.
Where do you get all that wood from? Is it just plywood?
Everything here is just like, okay, I want to say one thing before I say what I'm going to say about where you get stuff. Because where I get stuff is all local. It's all from the local economy, suppliers. If you give artists any money, you're giving it to your community, like 90% of it. It's not like I'm making money and leaving town with it, spending it out of town. I make most of my money out of town and bring it here in and spend it in Windsor. But like when you spend money with a local artist, hiring them to do things or buying their art, the majority of the stuff they're buying and consuming is from that local economy. So you're putting it directly into the economy. So support your local artists, right?
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, all local suppliers.
Yeah.
Like Miller's over on Crawford has any kind of wood you could ever want. And Home Depot has some stuff. I try not to go there too much. But yeah, like Miller's, and there's another place on Lesbronce. I know they just changed their name, though. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've been to Miller's a bunch, like for my picture frames.
Yeah.
I actually got to run there and grab some oak.
Yeah.
Because, Home Depot and places are
expensive. And they don't have the best quality. They buy bulk, and like Miller's. Miller's is nice. They curate their wood kind of.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with or met or hung out with Shepard Fairey?
I've been in 2 shows at Studio One. Studio number 1 is his gallery. Subliminal Projects is his gallery. Studio number 1 is his design studio above it.
Okay.
I was in a show it was with Jim Marshall. He was kind of made the peace sign famous in the 60s.
Yeah, the photographer.
Yeah. And there was a show that had to do with the peace sign. So I was in that show. And then I was in a retrospective show for the New Deal skateboards with Andy Howell. So Andy Howell's a friend, and he collects my work, him and his wife. And so I flew out there and hung out with them. They did a big 25-year party and art exhibition there. It was wild. The skaters that were at there. Oh my God. It was like, I was fanning out, man. But yeah, Shepard, he's just down to earth, like super accessible, like normal guy. Like he'd go out stickering if he wanted to with him. Yeah. He's just like having fun, and he's just a serious cat when it comes to being prolific with art. And I was inspired from him from day one, from hearing about him and learning about him.
Where is his? Is it in L.A. or New York?
It's in L.A. It's literally right next to Dodger Stadium.
Oh,
yeah.
damn.
Yeah, it's like 2 blocks from Dodger Stadium.
Damn. Okay, I guess we could wrap it up on the trip that we both just took to the same place.
Oh, yeah.
Different times.
Yeah, Popoyo Beach. Don't tell too many people about it, though.
Yeah, I know people are like,
Nicaragua.
but at the same time, like everybody always asks me about that spot.
I still got a bit of my tan.
Oh man, me too. The sun was a lot on that trip.
But it's like different there. Like it's not so humid. It's like a dry kind of heat. It's I liked it, and you just jump in the salt water, and hopefully you have access to a pool. So I like going to the salt water to the pool.
Oh yeah, always. Every time we come back from the beach, like surfing, I always jump in the pool.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was a beautiful trip, and just being near the ocean. I just love the ocean. You know, like my sister, she lives in Halifax, so I get to go there sometimes. Being out west, I've been out west a lot. Like Tofino was really beautiful. Have you been there?
Yeah, I made a little book out there.
Okay, yeah. Tofino is like mind blowing for me. There's like all the kelp and stuff that washes up, and like, yeah, it's just beautiful.
I started going out there because like during COVID we couldn't travel, and for my personal kind of photos, I like to shoot other places. So I went out there and I found Tofino, and I was like, holy shit. And then I went back again like a couple months later. So I was going out there during like COVID lockdowns.
Yeah.
So nobody was there.
Did you drive the whole?
Yeah. So we like took a ferry and then drove out.
Okay.
Like we flew to Vancouver.
Yeah.
So the second time we went, we're going for like a whole week. I was going with some buddies. We were just going to surf, and I wanted to like shoot for this project. And the day we were leaving, they said, you can't cross to the island unless you're essential.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, fuck. We're like, you know what, let's just go. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So we flew out there. We get to the guy, and we had like a whole like plan in place. Like we were going to say they're working for me, and I'm like doing all this shit. And the guy was like, are you essential? And I was like, yes. And he's like, okay. He just set us on the ferry.
Yeah. I mean, I got lucky because the shipping company I have to be able to import my stuff to the States, shipping was essential. And because the business in Detroit that I work with, 1X Run, they had signed my paperwork and got me vaccinated, all that stuff. So I was still able to run my business in that regard. So, yeah, it was, I don't ever want to talk about that again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So in Popoyo, though, the last thing, so you did a little mural there, you said, right? At a pizza shop?
No, I ended up not doing that one. I ended up doing it for his buddy that ran, what was it called? Ruamoke Hostel. It was just like this little tropical, like traveler hostel with a pool and the little huts and everything. And so I did some birds there. I did his big thing of his logo, and I just painted a couple things over there and stickered some stuff. And
so you brought some spray paint down with you?
No, I found like a hardware store. It wasn't the best paint, but yeah,
I couldn't even find a clinic there. Even a hardware store. That's the thing.
It was in it was near that place, Revis, right on the way to Ometepe.
Yeah.
So I found a place. I bought all their black and white and green. It was all like safety colors. It was all, they didn't have any other colors. So it's like fluorescent green, fluorescent orange, fluorescent yellow, black and white. That's it.
Nice.
So,
yeah, that's sweet.
But yeah, it was a blast. And I'm hoping this winter ends soon, man. Please.
Almost. Well, yeah, thanks for letting us do this here and everything.
No, thank you, man.
Sweet. Yeah,
I've known you forever, man. Anytime.
Thanks. All right.
See you guys.
Thanks, everyone.